The Bitnami Developer Bootcamp has been a source of new hires for you. How did that bootcamp come together?
It was a bit of an experiment, to be honest with you. My co-founder was trying to figure out how to bring great talent into the company, and one of the unique challenges that we had in Spain is there are a ton of brilliant new graduates, but they're unproven and it's not clear how they'll perform in a professional environment. And the more seasoned engineers have spent a lot of time working in government or in consulting companies and aren't necessarily the type of people who want to go work for a startup. So we thought, we need to hire a ton of people. We need to do it in an efficient way. Let's give some free training, and hopefully we'll be able to identify some great candidates out of that and bring some new talent into the company and onboard them all at the same time. And it's turned out to work out fantastically well for us. And obviously it's evolved, and we run a much tighter ship now than the first time around. But it really did start out as an experiment that just worked out exceptionally well.
So was it going to be a hiring channel from the beginning, or did it just sort of evolve into that?
That was the idea. We always thought that if we gave this great training, it would attract the right kind of people in the first place because they were very curious about the new technologies, and it would give us a chance to see how people interacted with other people and how they performed on all of the tutorial kind of sessions that we do, and that would help us identify people who would be a great cultural fit and also who would enjoy working on the kinds of things that we work on at Bitnami.
Why do you feel like it's caught on like it has?
That's a great question. I think part of it is the economic environment in Spain. There aren't a lot of very cool companies to go work for, particularly in Seville. That's not to say that there aren't any, but it's nothing like Silicon Valley or some of the other tech hubs. And so, people are really looking for interesting opportunities, and this gave us a way to reach out to universities, to go to social media, to put the word out that, hey, you can learn about all the latest cloud and web technologies. We teach people things like Kubernetes and Angular, and we teach them about all the major cloud platforms. So even if they don't join us, they learn a lot. I think we do a really good job of producing the content, and we bring in a lot of top speakers from all over the country to present on the different materials, so they're not listening to the same person all the time. And so people get a lot out of it, and they also get a really good feel of what it would be like to work with us. So we do the boot camp in our office. We have our engineers leading a lot of the sessions. They spend time in the afternoons teaching the participants and walking through the exercises. They eat lunch with them, so they get a real feel for what it's like to be part of the team. And so by the time you get to the end, you kind of know who's going to be a good fit, who's going to enjoy the work, and who's going to be a great cultural fit for us. So we've hired 20 people in total after doing 4 boot camps, and that's out of about 400 and some odd people who have applied into the program, and about 50 some odd who have actually gone through it. And the turnover has been incredibly low. We've had one person that we parted ways with in 2 years out of the 20 that we've hired, which is pretty good when you're looking at fairly junior engineers in their first job.
How long is the boot camp?
It's 2 weeks now. The first one was a month. So one of the things that we learned and that we've evolved is that after 2 weeks, it's pretty clear who's going to be a good fit for us and who might be happier elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so we felt like, it takes a ton of time and resources, and it's also, a big investment for our engineering team because we actually have them teaching a lot of the courses, that 2 weeks was the right amount of time. One thing that we're thinking of doing is doing 1 week or several day courses, looking for more senior engineers, and then just training on things like Kubernetes and technologies that we're using a lot internally, Docker, to help bring, a different type of candidate in who doesn't have 2 weeks to invest in going through, the boot camp.
Are there aspects of the boot camp that you feel other organizations could apply? I mean, it sounds like a fairly unique set of circumstances of location, amount of time that you're putting in, the type of candidates that you're getting locally. But do you think that those things could be duplicated elsewhere?
Absolutely. In fact, we're already working with a startup in India who wants to replicate this. It's not one company actually, but they're going to do it for other companies and provide free training to the candidates and then help place them in jobs after. But they're looking a lot to our learnings. They're using some of our content to help teach those courses. And since I gave the keynote, I've had a ton of people come up to me and say that they're doing semi-similar things. There was a university in Texas that's doing that. and some others. And I think, there are a lot of places around the world that aren't like Silicon Valley.
Sure.
And I think anywhere where engineers can actually get a couple weeks of time to go through a boot camp, it can be incredibly beneficial for them. So I don't think it's specific just to Spain. Certainly in other countries, I think it would work well. And we've considered actually doing it in other countries to bring in folks from other parts of the world as well. So I think it is pretty applicable. You just need to tune maybe the content and how you reach the developers in the first place, and maybe the duration of it depending on your unique situation.
Last question for you. What people or projects are you following these days?
Well, for us, we do a lot of work with cloud and containers. So obviously, we look a lot at Docker and what's going on with the Docker project, and also the Kubernetes project. We've been working a lot with them. I'm very interested in what the Cloud Native Computing Foundation is doing out of the Linux Foundation. So my efforts are really focused around all of that. There's some very exciting stuff and a lot of very cool, it's almost all open source these days, I think, but going on in the container space.
Great. Well, thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.